Hi everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. This one is for Monday, January 4th, all the way through to Sunday, January 10th of 2021. And welcome to the very first full week of 2021. We are kicking things off with a bang, with Mars moving into the sign of Taurus, activating the Uranus, Jupiter, Saturn square energy that's going to be playing out for the entire next 2 months of our lives. And this Mars energy in the sign of Taurus is going to be present for us for the next 2 months of our lives. For some people, this is going to feel super, super frustrating. For others, this is going to feel super, super liberating. And for most of us, there's going to be a combination of those two energies, frustration and this sort of caged up energy where we feel like we're about to explode that causes us to change something in our lives that's very important. This is a week where we are going to start to crave independence, freedom, sovereignty, where we are going to want to break free from anything that's overly restrictive or overly monotonous in our lives. This is a week that starts to catalyze change. And this week is the precursor energy, the build up to the most intense 2 weeks of the entire year in 2021, which will be happening next week and into the following week. But before we get into all of that, I just want to mention for those of you who are new to my channel, first off, make sure you subscribe to my channel because I create a new weekly forecast video that's posted every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. You don't want to miss that, so hit that subscribe button. And even if you're not new to my channel, I wanted to make sure that you understand how I structure my videos so you can get the most out of my free weekly forecasts. So I always start my videos with a short 5 to 10 minute general forecast to give you an overview of the energy for the week ahead. Don't skip this because it provides an important context for the more personalized forecast that you're going to be getting when I get into the forecast for all 12 signs. Speaking of which, in my forecast for all 12 signs, I highly recommend that you listen to your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign because all three are going to give you different layers of information so you can get a more holistic overview of the energy in your chart. And I do use the tropical zodiac for those of you who are going to ask that in the comment section below. And so the rising sign is going to be the primary energy, the strongest influence. The sun sign will be secondary, and the moon sign is important to listen to as well, although this influence will be a little bit more subjective and internalized. Finally, at the end of each video, I give a short 5-minute overview of the energy we'll be covering in next week's forecast so you can be even more ahead of the game and plan out your next 2 weeks even. So if you're interested in knowing what's coming up even farther ahead in the future, stick around until the end of this video. All right, and so moving on, we have this energy coming up for the next couple of months with Uranus in the sign of Taurus squaring Jupiter and Saturn. This becomes very important this week because we're coming into the buildup of the first square between Jupiter and Uranus next week, and we're also having Mars start to activate those energies. That Mars conjunction to Uranus is building, and that will come exact on the 20th of January. These are very volatile energies. This is a time where we're going to be feeling very frustrated. This is a time where we're going to be feeling very fired up and wanting to make some very impulsive changes in our lives right now, especially in January because of that Uranus and Jupiter energy with Mars. This is an energy of wanting to jump in headfirst into something new, and it could be something that is not even at all thought out, that you just feel in the moment, I need to do this. If that's the case, take a step back and look at what you're doing because this is not a good time to initiate something based on impulse. This Mars energy with Uranus is very chaotic, very volatile, and very disruptive. The Jupiter energy in the mix, especially in the sign of Aquarius, has us craving freedom. A lot of people are going to want to throw out everything in their lives in order to start something fresh. And there's a chance here, this is basically a situation where you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't want to get rid of what's good in your life so that way you can clear away space to create something new, along with clearing away what's bad and what's restrictive and what's causing you pain or what's causing you boredom or whatever it is that you're feeling based on your own personal astrology chart and how it's being impacted, which we'll get into in the forecast for all 12 signs. You don't want to just clear everything away and go crazy with this. And this isn't just for this week, you guys. This is a Mars transit through the sign of Taurus, activating all of this energy that will last all the way through until March 3rd. You'll feel it the strongest this month until the middle of February, but it's still going to be lasting until March 3rd. This is the time where that impulsivity is going to be increased in an area of our lives where we're normally not at all impulsive, right? This is in the Taurus area. These are in the fixed signs. This is where our ideas, our thought processes, our beliefs are usually pretty rigid or pretty stable because of that Aquarian energy. And this is also where certain things in our lives that are actually very physical are also typically very stable. This is where we're going to be creating or craving to create instability in an area of our lives that is typically very physically and also sort of mentally stable, if that makes sense. And this is also a time where situations can come in from the outside. This is a big hallmark of Uranus activation. If you feel really frustrated and you feel like you need to change something, do it. Just make sure you're thinking things through and you're really plotting things out and understanding the long-term consequences of the actions that you're taking, of the changes that you're making this month and into next month. This is huge because that Saturn energy is also going to be at play. If you mess something up, if you change something and cause problems for other people or cause problems for yourself as a result of those changes, it's going to take at least the entire year for you to resolve those issues that you created this month. So that's something you really need to pay attention to. And then also, with this Jupiter Saturn square Uranus energy, if you're not making any changes but you feel like you need to and you want to break free and you're like, this needs to happen right now, Uranus will usually come in and change something for you. That's where you get these externalized manifestations of the Uranian energy, which typically causes something very outside of the box, very unexpected, very shocking, very outside of left field to come into your life and completely disrupt the status quo. It's going to be exactly what you need, but it's going to be way less comfortable when it comes in from the outside versus when you instigate the action or the change for yourself because you need liberation in this area. So paying attention to those frustrations, which have probably been building for quite some time, that are going to be amplified this week and into the next couple of weeks, that's going to be a huge indicator of what needs to be changed. Again, it doesn't mean that you throw out everything. It doesn't mean that you change everything all at once, but you need to set something in motion. That's really what this is all about. You need greater freedom in a certain area, and this is the week where you need to start getting things moving, so long as you're thinking things through and thinking about the long term and you're not jumping in all at once. It cannot be an impulsive decision. I know that I'm getting a little redundant here with this, but I just really want to drive that point home because I know a lot of people are going to be creating very complicated situations out of something that doesn't need to be so complicated. So that's really the big energy this week. In addition to that, I just want to remind you guys that we're still in eclipse season up until next week when we have that new moon in the sign of Capricorn, which will be in a conjunction with Pluto, which is going to be paired with a ton of volatile energy. And so, this is something that we'll talk about if you're a member of my cosmic community this Saturday at noon on the 9th. We're going to be doing our new moon monthly gathering where we do goal setting, where we discuss the lunar month ahead forecast, where we connect and collaborate as a group. And so if you're interested in joining in, definitely check out my cosmic community. The link is down in the description below. And for those of you who are already members of my cosmic community, I just wanted to say a huge thank you. I am loving being a part of this community and leading this community. This is something I have been wanting to do for a very long time. I have my son in the 11th house, and so I'm like having so much fun with this. But you know, I do a lot of things that I really enjoy doing. I make these videos and I love making these videos. I love teaching courses. I love giving readings. But right now, the thing that I'm really loving the most is the cosmic community. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for helping me to ring in the new year in such a positive mindset and with such a positive community of support. And I'm loving it. So thank you. And again, if you guys want to join in, the link is down in the description below. I highly recommend it. It's been a lot of fun, and we're going to be adding a lot of new things this year and doing a lot of stuff together. But so kind of backtracking, I kind of got a little on a tangent there. But backtracking to what we were talking about, we're still in eclipse season. And so the things that are going on right now are still in that karmic sort of fate zone. The eclipse season doesn't officially end until that new moon, which will be happening on January 12th, which we'll discuss next week. And we'll be discussing this weekend in my Cosmic Community Gathering. So, you know, kind of keep that in mind too, because with some of these things that come up, it might bring what you need and it might bring what you need in order to help you to move into the path that you need to be moving into in this lifetime, as opposed to what you think that you want. And in general, this Uranus energy over the next couple of months will be a curveball energy. And so you might think that you're headed in one direction, and then, oh my goodness, you're completely, you know, going in the opposite direction or a completely new direction that you didn't even know existed. And by the time that we end these next 2 months, by the time that we move into March, that's probably going to be the case for a lot of people, where you thought you had things set in stone and all of a sudden you're like, how did I get over here? What am I doing over in this place? This is new. I didn't expect this. I didn't even know that this path existed. And so be patient. Definitely learn to roll with the punches. Don't get frustrated when things don't turn out exactly as planned, because they won't. And just understand that this is something that is going to take time, and it is going to provide that liberation that you seek. It is going to provide the results that you're looking for, but it might not. The path to get there might not look like what you want it to, and you might meet with a lot of change and frustration this month. So wait until March to fully set off on something. Get things going. Start making those changes or moving into those changes. But just know that this is not the correct launching point to go all in just yet. And speaking of which, that brings me to my announcement for this week. My Spring Electional Astrology Guide. Electional astrology is referring to the art of choosing the best astrological timing to ensure success in everything that you want to accomplish. It's not about the elections. My Electional Astrology Guide is now available to pre-order at a discounted rate for spring. This is my March, April, and May guide. And you guys, I'm telling you, these are the 3 best months for initiating anything that you want to initiate this year. And so I'm super excited for this spring guide. My winter guide was very sparse, but it's still very helpful if you have to initiate something important in January or in February. My winter guide is still available. It's now 30% off. And so you can plan around the challenges. These months are more about planning around the challenges than harnessing like the best. You're still harnessing the best energies, but it's more about mitigating those challenges. Whereas the Spring Electional Guide is about harnessing really some of these optimal energies that are going to be present this year for a very brief moment in time, for just a few months, end of or spring through like early summer. So definitely check that out. The guide will be available for you guys to utilize at the start of February, on February 2nd. So you have a whole month to start planning ahead for success this spring. And so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning, of course, with Aries and Aries. And as I mentioned before, this forecast is going to be relevant for at least the next 2 months. And so keep this in mind, go back to it as needed. We'll be discussing these transits and these activations more in depth and elaborating on them as we go through these next couple of months. But this is going to be kind of like the initiation point, and this energy is going to be something that is going to be present in your lives for the next 6 to 8 weeks. So definitely pay attention to this forecast. And so let's get into the forecast for Aries and for Aries rising. So for Aries and for Aries rising, there's been some sort of frustration or challenge or difficulty brewing for you in the area of finances. This is where you've been craving a lot of financial freedom in your life, and this is where the need for financial freedom is going to feel much more pressing and much more apparent. And so things are going to be amping up in that area. You might have some sort of situation that comes up very quickly, very unexpectedly, that causes you to need to change something to create more freedom financially or to deal with a financial situation that comes in unexpectedly. You're going to want to lean on your networks and look to your friends and your social connections for support, for help, for advice around these types of things. But this is something where you're going to feel like you want to completely break free and start fresh. And this is going to be, a few weeks that you're going to be dealing with this energy, and your plans are going to change. This isn't going to be so straightforward. This is going to be where like you jump into something, you have to pivot, you have to take a couple steps backwards, a couple steps forwards, a couple steps sideways, and then, you might end up somewhere that you never planned, but it's going to be the place that's going to bring you the liberation that you seek, that you need, that you deserve right now. So hang in there. If it does get frustrating, you're going to feel like you want to change everything all at once, but that's not necessarily what you should be doing, because Saturn requires that you do things the right way, that you do things deliberately instead of doing things the fast way. That's going to feel challenging. That's going to feel oppressive. That's going to feel very restricting. However, it's a necessary component to this energy. You're probably going to be running into some roadblocks, especially these next couple of weeks. And those roadblocks are showing you where you're not fully prepared and where you need to go back and redo something or set up a better foundation before you make the changes that you desire. There could be an oppressive or a really kind of intense energy brewing in your 10th house as well. That'll become more apparent next week. And the 10th house is the house of career and public reputation. Pluto and Mercury are coming into a conjunction at the start of this week, so you could have some really intense communication coming in. And that communication could have something to do with what it is that you need to be changing in the area of finance and creating financial freedom for yourself. And so that's going to be the biggest energy this week, this month, and over the next 2 months, really, for Aries and for Aries rising. For Taurus and for Taurus rising, this energy is impacting you, Taurus. This is a year where you are wanting to change everything. I mentioned this in my yearly forecast for Taurus, which is available in my cosmic community. I have yearly forecast videos for each of the 12 signs for your sun, moon, and rising. But for Taurus, I talked a lot about this energy of change, because this is a year where you're going to want to break free. This is a year where you've been showing up the same way, doing the same things, people expecting you to be very reliable, very consistent, doing things, in a similar fashion, because you are somebody who's a little bit more maybe reliable or predictable for most Taurus people. That's not a bad thing, right? People know that they can trust you. People know that they can rely on you. People know that they can, that you're dependable. And that's a very good trait in relationship. And this energy that is causing you to rebel against who you once were, to rebel against all of your life circumstances in one way or another, to change your life in a big, very, very big way, in a way that's going to help you to feel liberated from your past. This is going to cause a little bit of a ruckus. This is going to cause a little bit of a stir amongst your relationships, within your relationships, amongst your social circle, where people expect you to be one way and you're going to start being a different way. And that's going to be quite shocking to them, especially at the beginning and especially over these next couple of months. There's also a need to change something involving your career and your public reputation to reflect the changes that you're creating for yourself on a personal level. Your goals, your orientation, your direction in life, your personality, even your appearance might be changing. And you want more freedom. You want to be able to do things that are more exciting. You want more flexibility in your day-to-day life and experience. And your work might be a part of that. You're setting off on a brand new journey when it comes to your career and public reputation right now. And that could be a source of frustration at the beginning, because it's kind of like you want to make all these major changes, but there's something outside of you that's preventing you from liberating yourself or causing these roadblocks, saying no, saying you have to take care of your responsibilities first, or you have to create a new foundation, maybe through your work or your career, or involving your relationship with authority figures, in the grander sphere or in your personal life, or This could just have to do with what it is that you put there out in the world, the legacy that you're leaving behind if you're somebody who's not working or if you're somebody who's retired. Either way, there's something here. It's kind of like you see yourself one way, but the public sees you in a different way. Your bosses see you in a different way. In the grand scheme of things, what you're doing is maybe not quite as aligned as you thought it was with who you truly are and what you came here to do. That's something that's going to be a big source of frustration. Taurus is going to be the one making the most really radical, impulsive changes, but some of these changes are going to be necessary. And in, typical Taurus fashion, this is something that you already have a skill set for. Thinking about the long-term repercussions of whatever it is that you start right now is going to be key to navigating this energy successfully. For Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Gemini, this energy is happening in your 12th house, which is the house of dreams and subconscious realities. This is an interesting energy because I would say that a lot of Gemini rising people in particular, but also the sun and moon Gemini people, are going to have a lot of disrupted sleep patterns. They're going to have a lot more insomnia. They're going to have more nightmares. They're going to have more strange, really vivid dreams. I would say that your sleep life, like your dream world, is going to be much more active than your waking life in a lot of ways over these next couple of months. And I mean, this is something important to pay attention to. There's something on a subconscious level that you want to rebel against, especially involving old belief systems, old ideologies, old religious beliefs, old philosophical value systems that used to frame your reality, that you're going through a process of working through transforming and changing, so that way you can align yourself in a more appropriate way with your integrity, right? And so you're looking at what you really believe. You're looking at all the facts and figures, and you're changing your mind about something right now. And that subconscious reality is going to point to you what needs to change in order to break free from old rigid dogmatic belief systems, so that way you can benefit from this energy. And Geminis in particular are going to benefit from this energy more so than a lot of the other signs, just because well, first off, this is happening in your 12th house. And so this isn't going to be as externalized. Internally, you might be feeling really frustrated and you don't know what to do with that. You don't know where it's coming from, but externally, maybe not as much. But this is also that Jupiter-Saturn conjunction trining your ascendant, which I talked about in my Great Conjunction forecast. That video is available on my YouTube channel, so definitely check that out after this forecast if you haven't already. But you're going through a major change right now, and that change is going to be very positive, very long-lasting, very stabilizing for you. But right now, this week, it's going to feel like a frustration in terms of getting there on an internal level. This could also bring unexpected circumstances involving people that live at a distance, involving hospitals, prisons, rehabilitation centers, places that you go to be away from the world. It could even be like temples or ashrams or, spiritual types of retreat centers, things like that. Those types of institutions could bring some sort of disruption or some sort of strange news, or cause you to have to rethink something this week and into the next 8 weeks. All right, for Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancers, this energy is happening in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, social networks, people that you surround yourself with by choice. Mars is going to be transiting that area. This is actually not the worst thing for Cancers, especially if you're a Cancer sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees. You'll be feeling this in a way that impacts your relationships one-on-one and on a group level in a more positive way. You're going to be feeling really fired up to do something new, exciting, innovative, outside the box, unusual within a group or with your friends or in partnership with somebody else. This could also bring in a new friendship or a new partnership, really all of the sudden, out of nowhere, out of the blue, that could change your life in a major way for the better, that could cause you to liberate yourself from old friendships, from old relationships, from old ideas about who you once were. This could change your path and create greater freedom for you, or greater opportunities for freedom for you into the future. Any relationships coming up over the next 8 weeks are going to be more positive. However, I would say that relationships that involve finances, like if you were making an investment with a group or with a partner, that's where there's going to be some trickiness. And I would say don't rush into anything. Do your homework first. There could also be some power struggles and some kind of nasty words exchanged in one-on-one relationships, especially for Cancer rising sun or moon people who have their sun, moon, or rising at the end degrees of Cancer, anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees. And so while your group associations will benefit, while you will be making changes to who you actually surround yourself with, and those changes will be positive, there could also be some challenges in relationships this week as well, especially when it comes to, egoic kinds of power struggles, or wanting to control other people, or other people wanting to control you in some way. And that's not going to feel very good, especially with all of this energy that's craving freedom this week. And so, choose your words wisely. Don't get into battles that are not necessary. And and think about the long-term repercussions of the things that you're going to be saying and the actions that you're going to be taking when it comes to your relationships this week. Okay, for Leo and for Leo rising. For Leos, this energy is actually going to be happening in your 10th house of career and public reputation, and also in your 7th house, which is the house of partnership. This is an energy that's going to impact Leos in a way that's going to be especially challenging, chaotic, disruptive, frustrating, but also very, very liberating. You are fed up with something. Especially if you're a Leo sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, there's something that needs to be changed. And that's going to become very apparent this week and into the next 2 months. The challenge here is waiting and being patient and making sure that you have all of your ducks in a row, and that you're not discarding important relationships or career opportunities, or aspects of your career or aspects of your relationships that are really solid, that are really stable, that are really positive for you, along with discarding and changing all of the things that are restrictive, frustrating, not working for you, that you need to rebel against, that you need to liberate yourself from. And so this is about you really taking stock of what you have and what's good and what's valuable in your life before you make these changes. It's not only changes coming in your work, it's not only changes coming in your relationships. These changes are likely stemming from your work, or from your relationships, or from connections with people in positions of authority. However, you're also going to be making a lot of changes on a personal level to who you are, to what your direction is in life. You're going to be making a lot of changes on a foundational level to maybe your place of living. You might decide that you want to move to a different location, which is something a lot of people will be doing this year, especially those who have a lot of fixed sign energy: Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. You might decide that you need to move or change location in order to pursue a different type of career opportunity, or to pursue a different type of relationship, or to solidify things in a relationship. Or you might want to move to get away from somebody. That could be a part of this too. And so, all of these things could be coming up for Leo. I definitely recommend, looking into relocation astrology if that's something that's applicable to you if you are relocating. I have a webinar on this topic available through my website, and a lot of free tutorials. So you can just search on my YouTube channel and get a lot of really good information on that for free as well. This is a year where, for Leos, especially, again, that 0 to 10 degree Leo, this is a year where a lot of things are going to be changing for you, a lot of things. And especially for those Leo moon signs too, those are ones that will probably be making some sort of move or changing something involving your place of living. And that could be a big thing that comes up this year. This could also be a disruptive energy involving family relationships and family connections, or involving your ancestral lineage in some way, where your ideas or your understanding of your ancestry could change in a big way. And that could be an interesting shakeup as well. But yeah, so that's Leo and Leo rising. This is, again, not just for this week, but for the next 8 weeks at least. For Virgo and for Virgo rising. So for Virgos, this energy is actually going to be impacting you a little bit more positively than for some of the other signs. This Mars energy is coming into Taurus. It's coming into a conjunction with Uranus in your 9th house. The 9th house is the house of your perspective on God, the universe, the world around you, your beliefs that frame this reality, your moral and ethical value systems, the big, deep expansive philosophies that that help you to understand what this reality, what this world even is. You've been going through a change or a transformation when it comes to your worldview. This is going to cause you to feel very fired up beginning this week and into the next 2 months about changing something on a personal level, changing something when it comes to your connections or the way that you connect and interact and engage with other people. And this is going to cause you to want to change something on a day-to-day level when it comes to your work, your health, your daily habits, your daily routines, the way that you structure your work. And this might cause you to want to create something that gives you more independence in the area of work. Some Virgos this year might decide that they want to become more independent in all areas and through their work by starting a business. So many people are starting businesses this year, and apparently last year, a record number of EIN submissions went through the IRS in the United States. So like a record number of people were starting businesses and registering them with the state. And I think this year is going to be very similar because in my cosmic community, everyone, their intentions for the new moon at our new moon gathering last month were like, I'm starting a business. I'm, creating this new opportunity. I think Virgos, if you're not starting a new business, or if you're not starting something new in your career, you're going to be changing something or shifting something or pivoting in your career this year. And that's going to be really, really important. And that's going to create a very solid foundation when it comes to the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis moving forward into the future. However, this month and next month, it's not going to be a linear process. It's going to be easier for Virgos because you're going to be you're going to be more certain and more committed in this sort of weird new direction that you're taking in all areas of life. But when it comes to the way that this impacts your work, it's going to be like slow and steady. Don't change things all crazy all of a sudden. Don't just like give up your job or jump right into starting a business. Maybe you need to do something a little bit slower and more methodical. Maybe you need to like do a side hustle first and then ease your way out of a job. Think about the long-term implications. Don't just do something for short-term gratification when it comes to making these types of changes. If you follow that advice and if you think things through, which Virgos are great at doing, and this energy supports that as well, then I think you're going to have a really positive experience with this despite the little frustrations that'll come up along the way. Okay, for Libra and for Libra rising. So for Libra, this energy is happening in your 8th and in your 5th house. And so I mentioned before that this is a much nicer energy in a lot of ways for Libra and for Libra rising. This week, it might not feel that way as much. We talked about with the Great Conjunction coming in, which that video is available on my YouTube channel. It's a forecast that's going to be relevant for the entire next year. So definitely check that out if you haven't already done so. I'll post a link at the end of this video. But that Jupiter-Saturn energy is still trining your ascendant sun or moon, and especially if you have your ascendant sun or moon anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, this is going to feel more positive and more constructive, the energy that's coming in this week, than it will for a lot of other Libras. However, if you are a Libra sun, moon, or rising at the end degrees of Libra, anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees, you're going to be feeling there's going to be some intense communication or an intense message or some sort of negative mindset or pessimistic view going on when it comes to your home or your family relationships or your family dynamic or a contract related to home or property that could be weighing on you, and that's going to build into next week. So that might overshadow some of the more positive energy coming from that Jupiter-Saturn for end degree Libras, but that's not going to last very long. It's just going to be, it'll last a little bit this year, but it's not going to be activated beyond, the next couple of months here or the next couple of weeks here, at least for a little while. But moving on to the Mars energy with Uranus, this is happening in your 8th house. The 8th house is the house of debt, joint finances, inheritance, other people's money, taxes, investments, joint finances through marriage. And so there could be something that comes in very suddenly and very unexpectedly that shakes things up for you in those areas, in the area of money and other people's money and finances. It could be that all of a sudden, I can actually think of a Libra rising who I know where this would probably be the case. All of a sudden, a bunch of money comes in all at once, and that could be disruptive in a positive way. But you want to make sure that you're thinking things through or using this money in a way that's going to create more resources for you, and not just going crazy with it, not just looking at the short-term implications of what you're doing, but looking at it long-term. This could also be an unexpected bill, an unexpected like tax collection, an unexpected change or disruption to your partner's resources. It could be positive or negative, but it's going to cause you to realize that you need to diversify your investments. You need to change something about your financial situation so you can create more financial independence moving forward. This is something that you will need to address in the next couple of months, but you can't just think about the short term. You have to look at the long-term implications and how this creates a situation where you can have more freedom to do the things that you love to do, to engage in your passions, to experience joy in life, right? You don't want to have that hanging over your head if you're in debt or something like that. This could also be something disrupted coming in that causes power struggles or issues with people in positions of power and authority, or that brings up old anxiety, old fear, old trauma in a way that's very unexpected or unusual, that causes you to have to look at it, change something, heal through something very quickly in order to move on. And so that could be something that comes up too for a lot of Libra rising people. And for Scorpio rising. So for Scorpios, this is going to be impacting you a lot more so than a lot of the other signs. All of the fixed signs will be impacted the most by this energy in the next couple of months. Lucky Scorpio rising, lucky me, right? Where this is going to be a little bit more frustrating, a little bit more disruptive. It's going to cause change and ripple effects in all areas of your life. Your entire life is about to change this year, especially if you are a Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees. And over the next couple of months, a lot of things will change if you're a Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees. There could be a need to change something or something very disruptive coming for you this week in your relationships. This could be in a marriage partnership, a romantic relationship, business partnerships, any close one-on-one relationship. You might get disruptive news. You might decide that you want to change something together really, and you're really excited and you want to just jump in head first without thinking things through. I don't recommend that. It could be that there's a goal that you have, a big goal that you have that's going to set you up for success for the next 20-year cycle of Jupiter and Saturn in your 4th house of home and property. So something like buying a property, investing in property, buying a home, relocating, changing something up when it comes to your roots and your place of living or your relationship with your family. And you feel like you just want to jump in all at once right now. But you have to really do this slowly, methodically. You have to think things through. You have to make sure you have all of your ducks in a row before you launch into this. And that's going to be a very important part of this energy as well. You're not ready just yet, but you're getting ready, and you do need to start something. You do need to change something. That need for liberation is present for a reason, right? There could also be things that you're changing in your career or your public reputation. You might be making a move that leads to a career change, or is due to a career change, or is due to a relationship, or brings in a new relationship over these next couple of months. You yourself might be changing. You might be changing course or changing direction in a lot of different ways. But this is going to be like a frustrating or a disruptive energy that is mostly going to be impacting your relationship. So you might find yourself feeling frustrated with your current relationship circumstances if they're very boring or monotonous. You're going to feel like you need to make some changes. You might be feeling frustrated with your partner. Your partner might be frustrated with you, or they might feel like they need more independence or some change in their life. If that's the case, give them space, give yourself space. That can be the best thing that you can do in these situations right now, because that's needed, right? That's needed. It doesn't mean that you have to separate from your partner. It doesn't mean that you have to get a divorce. It doesn't mean that you have to end a friendship. It just means maybe you need some more independence, or you need to have your own interests or your own hobbies. That could be a big part of this energy too. And with your family relationships, it could feel very frustrating right now. You could feel very bogged down or locked in. And if that's the case, just don't burn all of your bridges all at once. Look at what's good about your foundation with your family first before you make the changes that you're going to be embarking on. For Sagittarius and for Sagittarius rising, this energy of frustration and the need for change is coming up for you in the area of your work, your health, your daily habits, and your daily routines. There could be an unexpected circumstance that comes in and disrupts your health. Maybe you get a cold, maybe you get the flu, maybe somebody else in your household is sick, and that changes your plans in some way, especially right now in the sort of era of coronavirus. That can be even more disruptive than normal, right? Because anything that you have, people automatically think that it's the coronavirus. And right now, when you're sick, you have to isolate and quarantine for 2 weeks and all of those things. And so that could cause a disruption to your work, your health, your daily routines. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen for all Sagittarius people. It's definitely not, but it's just one possibility. And you could get some sort of weird news too that could disrupt your work and your daily habits and daily routines because you have Jupiter and Saturn in your third house of communication. This disruption, though, is likely to impact you positively in the long term. It's causing you to have to change something in the short term in order to create long-term benefits or long-term stability into the future or long-term opportunities for yourself into the future. This is also a time where, you might just be feeling really frustrated with your work and your job situation. You might decide that you want to change something, especially because Pluto and Mercury are coming into a conjunction in your second house. There might be a really intense situation that comes up, or some oppressive energy, or a power struggle, or a control issue that comes up around finances this week and into next week as well. And that could cause you to, again, look at, what am I doing? Like, how do I break free from these types of situations where people are holding money over my head? That could be a big part of it too. But ultimately for Sagittarius, this is impacting you in a more positive way because that Jupiter-Saturn energy is in a really nice sextile with your ascendant, sun, or moon, and trine with your descendant if you're a Sagittarius rising. And so especially if you're a Sagittarius rising, anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, this is all about looking at long-term gains. And this could even be you wanting to go back to school in order to get additional education so you can change something in a big way when it comes to the day-to-day routine experience of your work, of your existence, of the way that you maintain your physical reality. Okay. For Capricorn and for Capricorn rising, this energy is happening in your second house and in your fifth house. And so this is actually a nicer energy for Capricorns for the most part. You might be feeling a little stressed. You might be having some intense communications or some intense thoughts. This is a great week for mental focus if you're a Capricorn sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 20 to 30 degrees because of the Pluto Mercury conjunction. But if you're a Capricorn sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, you'll be feeling this a little bit differently. You'll be feeling like you want to break free and do something fun and exciting and thrilling and something that brings you so much joy. Or you might be wanting to change something in a relationship, or you might be wanting to change something involving your children or create new opportunities or do something new with your children if you have any. This is a great week to set something in motion. It's going to benefit you way more so than a lot of the other signs to make these changes and to liberate yourself and to find freedom through having fun, right? Play, joy. You've been working. You've had a lot of stress and strain on you over the past year. Now's a time to connect with the things that you love. The only hang up is that you don't want to overextend yourself financially or do something that's going to cause disruption financially just for short-term gratification because you want to have fun and you want to do something exciting. So just make sure that you're thinking things through and you're not completely going crazy in that realm. If you follow that advice, then you should be fine. But this is going to be a 2-month period where you're really going to be wanting to express your creativity, where you're going to be exploring new hobbies, new interests, new things that you never even thought that you would enjoy doing. And you're going to feel so fired up and so passionate about it. And in your relationships, the same thing. You might be experiencing and exploring new and exciting things together as a couple. And that's going to ignite or reignite the passions in your relationship. And if you're not in a relationship, new romance could potentially come up. So that's something to think about as well. Okay, and then for Aquarius and for Aquarius rising, this is another sign where you're going to be impacted by this energy way more heavily than a lot of the other signs. All of the fixed signs, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, are being impacted the most by this 2 month long square energy that's going to be really predominant. And this is really kicking it off for you. So especially if you're an Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 0 to 10 degrees, you'll be feeling this the most. This is going to cause you to create change in all areas of your life. You're going to be changing. You're going to be first off feeling really frustrated with your home environment. It could be that you're in a lockdown situation and you're like, I can't take this anymore. I need to go out. I need to change. I need to move. This is another sign that might want to move or change location in some way. If that's the case, look at what you have right now that's good in your life, that's stable, that's solid, that's providing you with positive opportunity, and make sure that you're not completely throwing that out in service of instant gratification because you're feeling really frustrated with your circumstances. That being said, you are going to have to change something. So something about your living situation might change. Something about your family dynamic might change. You might have an unexpected new member of your family come in. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a baby, but it could be. This is one of those energies, especially because Saturn's also in your sign. If you're an Aquarius rising woman in particular, between 0 and 10 degrees, and you've been wanting to get pregnant, you might actually get pregnant, but it might happen in a way that you didn't expect, or it might happen unexpectedly, or you might have to do something unusual to create that situation. If that's not something you want, just be aware that that's a potential possibility. But this could also be you adding a new pet to your family or to your household. This could be you unexpectedly receiving visitors over the next couple of months, or someone coming to stay with you, or a parent or family member needing to live with you, or a disruption involving your family members, your parents, something along those lines that causes you to have to take on additional responsibility, even if it's not directly involving your actual home. There is going to be a lot of frustration or a lot of heaviness around that if that is the case, but just know that this is showing you something. This is showing you where the dynamic needs to change in some way. This is showing you where you need to change in some way. This is showing you where you need to become more responsible, and also where you need to create better boundaries with your family too. This would also be a time where your relationships could be changing, your career could be changing. There's just a lot of stuff going on. In your home especially, you're going to be so busy. You're going to feel frantic. You're going to feel all over the place. Maybe you have a lot of projects going on in the home right now, but there's a lot of busyness behind the scenes that other people might not necessarily be seeing out in the open. Okay. And then for Pisces, and for Pisces rising. So for Pisces, this energy is impacting you a little bit more positively than some of the other signs. Mars is entering your third house. It's coming into that conjunction with Uranus. For the next couple of months, you're going to be feeling really fired up about learning something new, or about discovering something that you've never discovered before through travel, like short distance travel, or through connecting with other people and communicating with other people, through connecting with new members of your community or new people within your community. This is going to be a time where you're going to be expanding your mind, and your mindset in general is going to be hugely disrupted in a way that could feel very uncomfortable and very unusual, where you're going to be engaging in thought processes, where you're going to be engaging in conversation and connecting through information that is highly outside of the box, that is so weird, even for you, even for somebody who's already in those alternative realms. You're going to be learning something very different. This could also be a time for you to want to change something up in your life through a learning opportunity, through taking a course or a certification, something that is short in duration, but has long-term repercussions or long-term results as the end goal. This could also be you wanting to tap in more to your creativity or to your spiritual side through education, through communication, through engaging with new information. And this is also a time where you might create new connections one-on-one with people. So this is actually a great energy for new relationships and new partnerships. And these partnerships that come in will help to provide you with learning opportunities and new information, and will also help to change your life and your perspective and who you are out in the world. This could also just be changes to your current relationships that can be very positive, exciting, uplifting, that could reignite passions if you're romantically involved. And yeah, and also this could be you wanting to get out there and teach some sort of deep inner knowledge that you already have, or something that you've really learned to understand over the last 12 to 30 years, really, with this Jupiter Saturn energy, or at least over the last, maybe even the last 20 years. That would be a better gauge, I would say. There's something that there's knowledge that you've gained through learning, through wisdom, through experience, that maybe you want to share with the world, even though it's knowledge that might be unusual or rebellious or shocking in some way. It's going to be a better time to start doing that. Just don't do it all at once. Don't go in and just like, say all these things that are really crazy that are immediately going to put people on the defense or make people think that you're like, strange or whatever, and then they're not going to listen to you. This is about doing it in small measured doses because of that Saturnian energy involved. But this is a time where you can start to teach or share the information that you really came here to share in this lifetime. And so that is my forecast for Pisces, and you're definitely not going to want to miss the preview of next week's forecast because it's getting wild. So next week we have all sorts of things happening. Mercury is coming into a conjunction with Jupiter, activating the Jupiter Uranus square that's going to actually come exact next week, also on Sunday. This is where people are going to be actively rebelling and just like saying things and doing things all crazy and changing things all impulsively. You'll know better and you'll know what's going on. You'll know that this is why people are acting this way, but it's going to be a thing. And also, we have this new moon happening on Tuesday in a conjunction with Pluto, the same day that Mercury is squaring Uranus. This is going to be very intense, very transformative. Something very deep is going to be revealed to us internally, and this is going to be a time where we need to transform at a core level in order to set ourselves up for success for the change that we're going to be creating, the liberation that we're seeking on that bigger scale. This is an interesting one. We also have Mars squaring Saturn for the final time in two different signs, because we had it first, the first two passes because of the Mars retrograde cycle in Aries. We had Mars in Aries squaring Saturn in Capricorn twice, and now we have Mars in the sign of Taurus squaring Saturn. As a part of this really crazy configuration with Uranus. So this is, again, that rebellious energy coming up. It's like we want to change something, but there are roadblocks, there are rules, there are responsibilities that are preventing us. There maybe even could be actual people in positions of authority, or a lack of ability to access the right technology or communication channels. And this could, this is going to be a week where we're going to see a lot more censorship, I would say. This is where the censorship is probably going to be amped up again. We might see in the next 2 weeks another YouTube purge or another social media purge. Definitely a lot of the social media updated their terms and conditions in ways that were weirdly inappropriate, like Instagram. I would say that this is probably why. So the next couple of weeks, I think we'll see a lot of that. We'll see a lot of shocking information coming out. We'll see a lot of stuff going on, like in the social sphere and in the global scheme of things. And so that's going to be a disruptive energy as well. We also have Uranus stationing to go direct as a part of this whole configuration on the 14th. This entire week, you guys, is insane. Something's going to change in all of our lives. Something's going to change kind of on a global scale. And we're going to be a little all over the place about it. So just know that this new moon, because it's conjunct Pluto, it's definitely a very strong point of focus. It's kind of like we have worked so hard to set the right foundations for something in our lives, to figure out what we truly need, want, and desire, so we can actually go in and do that thing that we desire. And this sort of process that we've gone through in 2020 is going to have created a situation where all of the excess has been sort of thrown away, where we only have what's real, what's solid, and what is in alignment with our truth. And this new moon is going to help us to focus on that. So this new moon energy is where we're going to find solace and calm amongst the storm. It's going to feel intense, yes, but it's going to help us to focus our energy and focus our intentions and our attention on what truly matters, on something deeper, on something that has greater value. So that's going to be a big part of next week. And that's really what I think is going to be the saving grace of next week. Even though it's intense, it's not going to feel light and fluffy, it's almost as if like we can be the eye of the storm and focus ourselves. And so this new moon energy is going to be really important. And again, if you want to set your intentions with a group of like-minded, really supportive people, if you want to learn more about the energy for the entire lunar month ahead, new moon to new moon, you can join my cosmic community. Our next new moon intention setting gathering, where we go into the forecast, where we set intentions together, where we talk about different colors and herbs and practices for solidifying intentions. That's going to be this Saturday. It's going to be happening at noon. It's going to be live, and you still have plenty of time to join in. And so that is my forecast. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to learn more about the really crazy astrology and really important energies that are coming up this year, I have a couple of videos for you above. And if you enjoyed this video, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends if you feel like they can benefit from this information, because there's a lot going on right now and I want to make sure everybody gets the help they need. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.